Hello everyone, on this great start to a weekend. Yesterday wasn't a good day for me. All I did was mostly sleep. Got onto the live a little couple times and I kept falling asleep. It was one of those days, and I'm sure everybody had them. But then I finally got up and it's like, okay, now I've slept the day away, time to do something. And had to give my brain and eyeballs a chance to wake up. But I've been looking at a quilt block that was fascinating to me because how it looks when it's put together looks like one of the most complicated blocks, and yet it's one blocks that are, it isn't what you do, it's how you put it together that makes it amazing. And that is the Hidden Wells block. And I was making some, and it's a block that it looks like this. Let me see if I can get it up close. It's really an amazing block because you get this triangle, and then you also get this piece in here, and then you get the arrows. I mean, it's not created the way, at least when I would look at quilts that way, it's like, my gosh, that's a lot of work. And it's based solely on strips. That's it. There's no half square triangles, there's nothing. It is literally using, well, I suppose you could use 1-inch strips or whatever. I just simply used 2.5-inch strips that I cut, which you could use a jelly roll if you wanted. And you use 4 colors. Let me grab them. These are the 4 colors that I used. It's just when you're setting up these strips, you need to pay special attention to whatever strips you have on the outside will be the ones that create the square. That square is the ones that create the square, and it's the outside strips. And so whatever colors, whatever you put on the outside strip, it will be the one that you use to make this square. So if you use, the 2 strips on the same side, and all we're gonna do is, like any other strip set, you're gonna sew these 4 together. So, and I dropped one. So let me get these 4 sewed together, and we'll continue from there. Okay, we've got our 4 different colors, all sewn together, and this color and this one is the 2 outside pieces, which are the ones I want to use to make the square. Now what you need to remember on when you're doing this, you're going to cut. So however tall or wide from here to here this is how big you're going to cut here. So this piece, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's about 8.5. Okay, hopefully everybody understands. From here to here, it's about 8.5, and that's going to be based on, how big your seam allowance is. So I'm going to put it over here, and it's 8.5 8.5 inches this way, from this side to this side. Give or take, that's fine, but it is 8.5. So we count over 8.5 this way. And then we're gonna cut it. You're just gonna cut it straight. Not crooked, not at an angle. Just a strip, and here's one section. Okay? And you can do the same thing. And the size of the strips I used, I made sure I could get 2 blocks out of it. Eight and a half. Or not 2 blocks, but 2 of the 8.5 inch squares out of it. 8.5. We just got a little bit, and you go here. So, one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to get these mixed up. You want them to stay here. Okay, what you're going to do is, and in my case, this bottom piece here, which whatever color on mine, okay, I turned upside down to where now it was on the top. Then you take this one and you put it on the top this way. You're going to match it up, and it will match. And because then what we're going to do is you have, again, I turned mine so that this outside piece was on the top, and you turned this other piece to where it's on top of it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sew your 1/4 inch seam all the way around on all 4 sides. So let me do that real quick, and we'll show you what you do next. Okay, now that we've got this block completely sewed around, what you need to think about is, if you notice on the one I actually did up there, let me move this camera up so you can see. If you notice on this one, what you want to pay attention to is there's actually 2 different sets in here because it's the way I wanted it. But you need to, because we're going to cut this block and we're going to end up making 4 triangles out of it. But you need to pay attention, like this here and this here are 2 different orientations. So you just need to pay special attention to how you want this to look. So we're going to, so we got, remember, the 2 outside colors are the one that's going to form this square or triangle, however you want to look at it. Let me put this back down so you can see what I'm doing, as long as the light cooperates. Okay, and then we're going to be cutting, what you're going to be cutting is from this corner to this corner, and then this corner to this corner. So you end up with 4 triangles. And hopefully I don't cut down, I mean, it doesn't hurt it if you cut it the wrong way, but so let's just dive right in here and cut it corner to corner. Might have to push a little harder because you are going through those other pieces of fabric. Try not to, I don't have a turning mat, but try not to disturb it if you don't have a turning mat, and just have to turn the whole thing. If it gets, because you want it to stay together. And then you're going to cut it corner. Okay. And now you have 4 pieces. Okay. When you open them up, what I found easier, because when you open them up, you're going to have this. And then you're going to have this side that goes across, whereas this side, you know, horizontal and then vertical. What I found is easiest if you finger press it towards the side that is in the horizontal position. And you'll just open up all these ones, the same thing. Just finger press towards the one that goes horizontal. And my iron's back here. I'll iron it. I'll iron them really quick. Okay. Okay. Got these all pressed. Don't worry about if they don't exactly or square at this point. You can, however, if you want to. I know these little things bug me. These little, I call them dog ears. They just bug me, so I just cut them off. You don't have to use a ruler. Just a little pair of scissors. Cuts them off. Each block will have 2. And you can just cut them off. They just bug me. They don't hurt anything. It wouldn't. I just don't like them sticking out there. They don't show. They're not gonna show anywhere. I just don't like them on there. Because they can interfere with you matching up the block together. Oop, ow, ow, ow. Sorry about that. My arm's like, So from here, you just need to decide how you want the block to go. Let me get all these little dog ear pieces out of here. Get up there. Okay? You can put, like here. Oh, shoot. Let me pull that up so you can see. If you look right here, this is the piece you're looking to match. This piece right here, which is also the hourglass block, but a little tiny one. So this is the piece that you're going to put together. However you want the, let me see. See, I have 2 blues on this side and the other color here. This one I have the 2 blues and the other color there. So it's basically based on what you want to do. So let me move this camera. I hope I'm not making anybody dizzy from moving that camera like that. So we're gonna put the, where are we here? Okay, I'm gonna put opposites. And this triangle is the one that makes that hourglass. Okay, so I'm going to put opposite, and I don't put them so the 2 same colors are together. So you got here, and that's the Hidden Wells quilt block. Of course, these are, you know, not completely square. I square them all up. I mean, my seams are not exactly, but when you sew them together, you want to try to match here where they come together and here, because you're going to sew these 2 sides together. Or if you want, you could sew this way. But what you're wanting to match is this seam here, the same as over here, this seam here, and so you make the square, and in the center you have an hourglass, and that makes the Hidden Wills quilt block, which I'm going to make a quilt like that. I love how that design is. But this takes me to the second part of this video, which is, as you've seen, there is an hourglass in the middle of that, even though you didn't technically create it. There's so many different things you can see inside that Hidden Wills, and there's all kinds of different ways to make the hourglass blocks. It was one of the blocks that I seem to have had. I did have. Now it's not so much anymore. But there's instead of sewing triangles together, you can make an hourglass using whatever size. And I just picked these. These the same, so I could show you the contrast. And these are all 5-inch blocks. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 colors. Just like, okay, you're basically making a half square triangle. You're going to go right sides together. And I'm doing 2 separate blocks just to show, excuse me, just to show you the differences. And just like anytime you're making, this is a single half square triangle or an HST. Anytime you're making a single one, you're going to take, sometimes it's made with dark fabric, but in this case, I chose a light fabric that I knew my pencil would show up. And I just use a regular pencil. Nothing special. Well, it's a drawing pencil. But you're going to take and go from corner to corner, draw a line right down the center. And this is not the sewing line. This would be the cutting line. You're going to draw a line right through the center. Then, if you put your ruler right on that center line that you just drew, then you make a mark on the other side. And you can do the same thing. Yeah, this ruler will. And you're going to make a mark on both sides of that cutting line. Oops. Okay. See? And then you end up with, okay, this will be your cutting line. This on the outside is your sewing line. And you will sew right directly on those 2 lines. So, let me show you again on this pink one. Again, the first mark you make is going to be right from corner to corner. And again, that is your cutting line. Do not cut this. You're just marking it on here. Okay? And to the right and left of that center line, you're going to go 1/4 of an inch out and put another line. Those 2 lines, those will be your sewing lines. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Took me a while to get these all figured out doing it this way. But this is only, you're making 1 half square triangle, not multiple. Okay, so we've got our lines. Okay, make sure you put those lines on the back and not the front. Let me put my pencil back in a little holder. Okay, then you're going to take those. This is the back. Most people use white, whatever color. I just used the blue. You're going to match it up with the other side. You're going to go right sides together because you're going to sew those. And let me get these sewed real quick. And remember, what you're going to sew on, let me get them even here, is you're going to sew on this line right here. And then you're going to, you could just flip it around on the machine, and then you're going to sew on this line. Do not sew on this center line. Just sew only on these two lines. Let me get these sewed. Okay, see, we're going to sew on both of these two outside lines, and I know that white is not so great. It's hard to see. I just put my needle down and a back stitch, and you just sew right on that line, the first line. If it gets a little off, it's not, it's not nothing that's going to break the bank. I just flip it around. I don't take it out from under the machine or anything. I just flip it around. Always back stitch. And this is where you could actually chain stitch if you wanted to. Let me get my other two. I just kind of take it out from under there so I get it just close to, and again, you're going to sew on that outside line, not the inside line, and not the center. That's the cutting line. Is that center line is the cutting line. And again, it's I'm not the straightest sewer. Most of the time I can't see it, and I just rely on feeling my machine, and hopefully my machine's not. My eyes are not the greatest. But I did find I can see that drawing pencil mark pretty good, better than I can see with a pen or the fabric ones. But I can see that pencil, and it's going to come off. It's not going to stay. Let's get all these strings off here. String bucket over here. All right. See, now we sewed both sides. Oh, you could probably, okay, see, I just flipped it over. You can see, let me see if I can get it so you can see the lines. Okay, there we go. See the shadow? See the two lines are sewed. They're still connected down here. And I wouldn't worry about that if you didn't, because you'll be able to, you're going to cut them apart anyway. See? Okay. Now let's get these cut apart. Okay. Turn it, make sure you can see this line, or you don't even need to see the line. It's not necessary. You're just cutting. You're just going to cut from corner to corner, even if it's not on that line. What you're cutting from this point to this point, even if the line you drew wasn't exact and mine's not. That's what you're going to cut. And you're going to have this. I'm going to cut these other one apart. No, these do not go together. I just wanted to do two of them so that you could see. Okay. Because what we're making is the hourglass block. Then just like with any other HST, going to, come on, you're going to push it towards the dark side. I don't open the seams on these unless there's a specific reason, but I don't open seams. I think it makes the seam, and you just kind of finger press. You don't want to stretch the fabric, but you always press to the dark, which all you have to do is leave the dark up top and just kind of fold it back, but don't stretch it, don't, nothing. You just kind of, I'm going to finger press it like this, okay? And again, these are 2 half square triangles, just like any other half square triangle you're doing. So let me, and I will press these really, just finger press these guys. Yeah, I like that sparkly. It's sparkly. it's a nice fabric. It doesn't really go with, I mean, you could actually use it on a lot of stuff. I like making stars with it. Oh, yeah, seriously? And it's, the reason you press to the dark is because sometimes the lighter colors, if you press the darker under the lighter, you'll get a shadow and it will show. So let me press these real quick. Okay, so I have these. These 2 go together. They stay together. They're part of this. Okay, when we go to make an hourglass, you've made the 2 half square triangles. All you're going to do, you have one, okay, like this. You're going to just flip it over. Okay, all I do is flip it over to where you have one color to the other, so that you're still, and if you, this is why I don't do the seams open, because now they'll nest. So you're just putting them together so you have the opposites together. So when you open them up, when you open their, oh, come on, because you're going to cut them, and so when you open them up, after you sew them together, when you open them up, thus you have your hourglass block. So just as we did before, you're going to draw. This is where your line is going to go. It's opposite this one. So you're going to be sewing just like we sewed when we made this first half square triangle. You're going to be sewing this way. So you make your line, and you don't do it on both pieces, you do it on one only. So I'm going to take this top one, put that one over there, and I'm just going to draw a line from corner to corner, just exactly like we did before. Corner to corner. Draw a line, and remember this first line that we're doing corner to corner is your cutting line. Then we're going to make one a ½ inch from that first, from the cutting line. You're going to make it a ½ inch away to the right, and then the same width on the other one. Get out from under there, please. Where am I telling a piece of fabric, please? Okay. And I'm talking to the fabric. Okay. That's, now we have a, yeah. Okay. See, again, you're going to have the same 3 lines. You're going to sew Okay. This line here and this line here. Those are the lines you're going to be sewing on. So again, when you put these together, see, you're going to go together just like this. So you're going to have color to this one, the same, and it wouldn't matter. And you just want to match up your seams. You know, you should be able to, if you press them to the dark, they'll nest up in there right quick. And don't worry about those dog ears right now. Okay? So we're going to go get these sewed together. And be right back. Okay? What I do is I turn it around. So you just have to make sure that on the back side, if this piece is up, make sure it stays up and this piece stays down. You can pretty much control the feed dogs, which are down on the bottom. They don't generally, but just make sure it stays down. This one, if you sew it into this way, sometimes it will get caught. So I just sew it on the opposite side. So this piece goes this way towards me. And again, doing the same thing. You're going to sew on that outside line, not the cutting line, the outside line. And if I can get it there. And again, if it's not exact, it's not going to hurt anything. You just would need to correct the square, the triangle when you're done with it. And again, I back stitch. I don't cut it off. I just flip it around. Pull the thread a little bit so it's not exactly tight. Okay. Do the same thing. You're going to go down on the opposite side and sew it straight down. Okay. I usually just use my machine to cut these strings off because it's convenient. And again, it's going to show that little thing there. Okay, now let's go get these cut apart and we'll go from there. Okay, now that we've sewed these, and again, don't worry about the dog ears right now. The center line that you marked on there, that's the line you're going to cut on, or cut corner to corner, however you want to do it. Just in case your line wasn't exact, or however, you just cut right straight down on that line, that center line. Okay, cut them apart. And when you're done, you have your hourglass. Now, we started off with a 5-inch square. I do not know what this measures at. So when you start off with a 5-inch square, this should measure 4.5. But let me see if I am right. No, 4 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It measures 4 1/4. So you lose 3/4. 3/4 for an unfinished block. As I said, it started off with a 5-inch square, and now it is sitting at 4 1/4. So if you needed your hourglass to be 5 inches, or if you start out with, say, a block that's 5 1/2, you just need to remember you lose 3/4 of that. So 5 1/2 would make that block 4 3/4. So you just need to keep that in mind when you are doing your blocks. Excuse me. And sometimes on these ones, I will open the seams. I'm not going to. I'm just going to finger press them open so that you can see. This is just another way of cutting, making the hourglass blocks. And if I wanted to, I just didn't want to confuse anybody. If I wanted to, I could have actually put this pink one with the blue, and it would have been 3 colors then instead of only 2. That's what would happen, but I just didn't want to confuse anybody. But this is how you make an hourglass block with using, like I said, I just use 5-inch squares because that's what I have. Most of the time when you're making these, you'll start off with a 5.5-inch square. Sorry everybody, my voice is really giving out. Hopefully this was a learning tutorial for the Hidden Wells quilt block, and also a different way to make the hourglass blocks. And I'm going to try to get out there and watch some of the live chats, maybe. It's one of those things when you're not feeling so hot and you want to do something but you're not feeling so hot. It's like I really wanted to go out and do but it's no, you gotta back off. But I did. I think her name was Velma crocheting, or she's the one that made a little duck, a crocheted duck. It was so cute. I was watching her earlier before I made this video, and she was crocheting away. I do crochet, which I might start encompassing, not doing just quilting, but the crocheting, and I am going to make a smaller version of my wood peg loom. The big one is just too hard to do a demo on and hold it up because it is very heavy. It's made out of 2x4s and it's huge. So I'm going to make a small version of that so I can demo it so you can see how to make a rug. And you can use either scraps of fabric or, and sorry for those that make quilts out of t-shirts, you can cut strips of old t-shirts and use them as webbing to, it's what you hold, it's called webbing. It's what you put on a rug, the back of it. And it just, t-shirts help because they have a lot of give to them, but they hold up good. So anyway, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And remember, happy thoughts. Do the positive aspect. No matter what might be going on, just remember the positive aspect. And remember, projects are, any type of project you're doing, don't let it wear you down. Don't let it get to you. If it starts bothering you in any way, whether it's due to like a lot of us have arthritis in our hands or legs or feet or whatever, just put it down, walk away from it, and go do something else. Just relax. And for me, crafting, making quilts, making quilt blocks, it puts my focus on something else, which today I needed that focus. So I was just trying to think of a quilt block that I could use to make sure I could do it, because to be honest, I've never made one of these before. I've never made this Hidden Wells quilt block, ever. I always looked at it, and I guess it just, because of what it looks like in a quilt, it looks like it would be extremely hard. And that's what a lot of these quilt blocks, if you look at them, you look at it and going, there's no way. There's no way it could be. But when it's broken down for you by someone that's done it, it's like, I don't believe it. Really? And this is a very, very beginner friendly block, because there is no right or wrong way how to put the 4 sections together once you cut them apart. There's nothing saying how they have to go together. I just put mine together like this because that's the way I liked it. I mean, I was messing with them and turning them around, and there's no right or wrong how the blocks come together and get sewed. I guess that's why they call it hidden wells. But there's so many different additional shapes that come into play when that gets put together. And then one of my weaker aspects of blocks is the flying geese. So I am going to put flying geese as my border on that quilt when it's done. And I'm not making a big one. I'm just making a small one. Because I figured, you know what? As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. I got a hair in my face. Yeah, I know I could put my hair up, but I don't like my hair up. It bothers me when it's up, because then I'm always doing this, because it feels like it's moving. And so I don't. That's the reason I don't. Once in a while I will, if I get way, way too hot. And in the summertime I do. But I just put it up, and I can only have it up for a short time, and then it starts bothering me because I don't. And I just put scrunchies, because I made some scrunchies a while back, and no, I don't want to make it anymore. I got a whole bunch, and I don't want to make them. They're okay to make, but they're the few things I can say that are kind of a bummer made, because I don't use they're like velvet. I don't like regular fabric. They're velvet, and when I did it, I should have turned them so the seams were hair, and the seams are, you could see them. Well, you can't really, but I needed it there. Now you can. You can see the seams now. But I tried to get the seams hidden because that's what I wanted. But yeah. But this was just scrap fabric I had, and I created a whole bunch of different ones. I have velvet ones. You know, I didn't want the plain cotton. Well, that's not cotton. I don't know. This is like a velour type thing. And it and it just, I wanted all kinds of different colors, and I have a ton of them. But anyway, everybody, I hope you are going to be having a wonderful weekend, and enjoy the weekend. I know some people are having really bad weather, and all I can say is watch out and be safe, and hit the like and subscribe button if you liked the video. And everyone, again, remember those positive vibes. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.